All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are tackling Bitcoin. Now, we've all heard the name thrown around, but what is it really? How does it actually work? And maybe the biggest question of all, what gives it any value? Let's break it all down.
So yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? Because it's not just some stock, it's not just a tech buzzword. At its very heart, it's a completely new way of thinking about money. And trust me, by the end of this, you are going to get it. So to start, we've got to go back to basics. We have to understand this core idea. What even is digital money?
Okay, the most important words on this screen are without a middleman. Just imagine sending money directly to your friend on the other side of the planet, instantly. No bank, no credit card company, no payment app stepping in to take a fee or to hold it up for 3 days. That is the peer-to-peer promise of Bitcoin.
Yep, that's the whole game right there. It's all about getting rid of the gatekeepers. It lets you and me and everyone else deal directly with each other. It sounds so simple, but the implications are just huge.
So you might be thinking, okay, if there are no banks, how do we keep track of everything? Who makes sure nobody cheats? Well, that brings us to the engine that makes this whole thing run, the blockchain.
Look, forget all the super complex technical jargon you might have heard. The absolute easiest way to get your head around the blockchain is to just picture a digital record book. But it's a special book, one that everyone shares, everyone can look at, but that nobody, and I mean nobody, can go back and change.
So here's how this digital book gets written. First, all the new transactions, who sent what to whom, are written down on a fresh page. Once that page is completely full of transactions, it gets sealed shut using something called cryptography. Now that's just a fancy word for using super complex math to lock it down tight. Think of it like a digital tamper-proof wax seal. And then, and this is the genius part, that newly sealed page is cryptographically chained to the page before it. This creates this long, unbreakable chain of pages, a permanent record of every single transaction that has ever happened. It's just brilliant.
Okay, so we know what Bitcoin is, and we know how this digital book, the blockchain, works. But where do new Bitcoins actually come from? And what makes them valuable in the first place? Well, this is where we get into this amazing idea of digital gold.
So in a nutshell, mining is just the name for the hard work computers all over the world do to seal and chain those pages in our digital book. It takes a ton of energy and computing power to do it, and as a thank you, as a reward for doing that critical security work, the miners get paid in brand new Bitcoin.
Now this right here might just be the most important number in crypto. 21 million. That's it. That is the total number of Bitcoin that will ever exist. It's literally written into the code, and it cannot be changed. Now just stop and think about that for a second. In our digital world, where you can copy and paste anything, a photo, a song, a document, infinitely, for free, this creates something totally new, verifiable, absolute, digital scarcity.
And this just lays it out perfectly. Governments can and do print more money all the time, right? But every time they do, it makes the money that's already in your wallet worth a little bit less. With Bitcoin, the supply is totally fixed, it's predictable, you just can't fire up the printers and make more.
So why is this so important? Why is being digitally scarce such a big deal? Well, this brings us to the single best analogy for understanding why Bitcoin has value. Think about gold. Why is gold valuable? Because it's rare, it's hard to dig out of the ground. Bitcoin has those exact same qualities, but it's built for the digital world.
You know, when you actually put them side by side, it's pretty amazing. You can see how Bitcoin takes all the best things about gold and just makes them better for our digital age. It's way more scarce, we know the exact final number, it's unbelievably easy to divide up and send tiny amounts, and you can send $1 billion worth of it across the globe in a few minutes with a laptop, not with a fleet of armored trucks.
And if you want a crazy, real-world example of this, look no further than the legendary Bitcoin Pizza Day. Back in 2010, some guy paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. 2 pizzas! Today, those exact same 10,000 Bitcoin are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That is the mind-blowing power of digital scarcity in action. All right, let's bring this all home. What makes Bitcoin so unique, so special? Well, it really boils down to 3 core ideas, 3 pillars that all work together perfectly.
Now this might be the most revolutionary part of the whole thing. There is no CEO of Bitcoin. There's no headquarters you can visit. There's no central server you can unplug. The entire network is run by its users, all over the world, for its users. It's a system that's truly global and completely neutral.
And that very decentralization is precisely what makes it so incredibly secure. Remember that digital book, the ledger? Well, copies of it are stored on thousands upon thousands of computers all over the planet. To attack the network, you'd have to somehow attack all of them at the same time. It's pretty much impossible.
I want you to just let that sink in for a second. For more than a decade, while being the biggest, most tempting target for every hacker on Earth, the Bitcoin network itself has never, not once, been hacked or compromised. Its security record is absolutely unprecedented.
So, let's put it all together. Here's the takeaway. It's the combination of these three incredible features that makes Bitcoin what it is. You've got the scarcity from its fixed supply, which gives it value. You've got the insane security of its unhackable network. And you have the decentralization, which gives it true freedom from any single point of control.
And here's the kicker. You can't have one without the others. If you take away any one of these pillars, the whole structure just crumbles. But together, they create something the world has literally never seen before. A truly scarce, perfectly secure, and completely independent digital asset, digital gold.
Which, of course, raises a really fascinating question. We get Bitcoin now, but what about all those thousands of other cryptocurrencies, all the altcoins? What makes them different? Are they even trying to do the same thing? Well, that sounds like a great topic for our next explainer.